Hello and welcome to another edition of Nation Building. On our program, we examine the political, social, and moral issues in the leadership of the Bahamas. On our program today, we have two very exciting guests for you. They are young Bahamians, young progressive Bahamians, I might add, and they want to share what they think about our country's future and represent their party position today. And we'll introduce them right after the break.
The concierge service is the best thing ever. Like, it is so fabulous, especially for someone like me where I cannot leave my office, my job, to go do anything in the middle of the day because I'm on the radio. The service was so fabulous. The ladies gave me a call. They set up an appointment. They come with their professional looking attire. They're just so cute. And they come here, and it was a great experience. It took 20 minutes to switch over to the Alive service. It was simple. It was easy. And they just made me feel so welcomed. They explained everything. They hooked me up with my new phone. They gave me my data package. As you can see, hey. And it was fabulous. It was a wonderful service, but what I really liked best about it was not only did they come here and make it easy for me, but they continued to check up on me. The next day, they made sure that everything was working properly with the phone. I didn't have any issues. The following week, they contacted me again, and I've built a relationship with them. They've continued to check up on me. I feel like I'm part of the Alive family. It's amazing.
Who said you can't get great quality products at an affordable price? If you want the best quality food products at the most affordable prices, you must pick up the Jamaica Bahama brand of fine quality products at your favorite food store. Products like Jamaica Bahama Coconut Water, the most healthy and refreshing drink on the market. Jamaica Bahama Fruit Punch, the only fruit punch in the Bahamas made from real fruit. Jamaica Bahama Coconut Milk, green pigeon peas with coconut milk, condensed milk, kidney beans with coconut milk, corned beef, green pigeon peas, mackerel, and corn. Jamaica Bahama's fine line of products is available at all your favorite food stores and convenience stores nationwide. Telephone 351-8282 in Freeport and 341-4091 in Nassau. I don't wanna wait.
Hello.
Did you get it?
Yes, baby. I got it.
Don't come home without it.
These arms of mine, they are yearning for wanting you.
Where is it?
Strongback is distributed by Jamaica Bahamas Import and is available at your favorite food or convenience store nationwide. For more information, call 341-4091 in Nassau and 351-8282 in Freeport.
Welcome back to Nation Building. I'm your host, Winston Pinnock, and as I mentioned earlier, we have two exciting new guests that we are going to introduce to you today. On our program today, we have from the Progressive Liberal Party, Senator Joebeth Davis, and Progressive Young Liberal Chairman, Mr. Barry N. Griffin. Ms. Davis, welcome back to Nation Building.
Thank you.
Mr. Griffin,
Pleasure
it's your first time?
Yes.
Welcome to our program.
Thank you for the invitation.
And it's always wonderful to see young Bahamians involved in the political life of our country. And both of you, of course, represent the opposition party, the Progressive Liberal Party.
Yes.
Now, of course, it's been a year since the Free National Movement has been elected to office, swept into office. And we want to take the time today to find out from you young people in the Progressive Liberal Party, as you look forward, what your plans is for the future of our country. But we also, of course, know that you and your leader and leaders have been critiquing the governing party And so I have some things I want to ask of you today so you can explain to the Bahamian people why you guys have been nipping at the heels of the government and not giving them an opportunity to govern. So we'll start with the senior senator. Well, you're not a senior senator, but a senior person in the party and senior here at the table. Ms. Colby Davis, as we examine the first year of the Free National Movement's government, and as I mentioned, waste no time in saying that your leader and as an organization, and yourself included being a senator, have been very strong. Your party's chairman have been, some say ridiculous, but very strong in articulating the views of your organization to the Bahamian people and in opposition, of course, to much of what the government is doing. And so in that light, one of the things that I would like to find out is the PLP has major issues, it seems, with the new administration. And in light, people would say, in light of the fact that the PLP just a year ago was booted out of office, and the Bahamian people dismissed them in, my adjectives are strong, but it was an extreme dismissal from office. It was a dismal, a devastating loss. Your party chairman corrected me and said it was just a loss, but I said it was a significant blow to your organization, and the magnitude of it in terms of the seat count was certainly unmatched. So there are many Bahamians who are saying, why have you guys been so hard on the government? If you did a good job, or your party did a good job, after all, you'd have still been governing. And what do you say to people who are of that view?
Well, you know, the Progressive Liberal Party is an institution. So we continue to grow, we continue to move, regardless of the circumstances of the past. We are going to continue to move forward and build the party. And a part of us building the party is we have been tasked with the duty, whether we've been given the government, rejected by the people of the Bahamas, the electorate, we are still the opposition. So we've been given the task to provide the Bahamian public with a healthy opposition. And we're not attacking the government. We're not trying to frustrate what they're doing. But if you consider the promises that they gave to the Bahamian people, if you think about the mountain of promises during the campaign trail, and also the mountain of promises in the speech from the throne, you would understand that time is of the essence. And we have a new style of electorates where they are very impatient. Is it fair to the government? No, it's not. But if you start your agenda with the list that you provided yourself, then we wouldn't have room to talk. I looked through the promises because I wrote them down during the campaign trail. It's about 40 or 50 of them. And then I went to the speech from the throne. You have 5 years. And technically, you probably have like 4 years.
Some say 3.
3.5, okay? So how is it that you go in to government and the first thing that you're doing is you're giving tax breaks to those who really don't need it, you're making provision and you're doing all of these traveling and you're not bringing any results, you promise transparency and you have yet to be transparent with anything that have been exposed from your administration's table or what you've been doing, and people are asking for answers or reasons as to why it's happening. This is the government that promised accountability, transparency, change to the Bahamian people. So all we as the opposition are asking, we have not been given the opportunity to prove to them that our agenda, our charter for governance is the right one, right? It's been taken away from the PLP. So the FNM is in power. They provided an agenda to the Bahamian people. I'm a Bahamian, regardless of which party I'm affiliated with. You came in on a type of agenda and the way you promised to perform. And so we're just holding you to your promises. And that's what the opposition should do. Provide a healthy opposition. Not attack everything, but provide healthy opposition so that we can get the people what they deserve and what they were promised.
Young Liberals, your chairman, Young Liberal chairman, Mr. Griffin, You heard Senator Davis's response to my question, and I guess I'd like for you to look at a part of that at least, which is considering the magnitude of the defeat. Don't you think it's reasonable that, having been rejected by the Bahamian people a year ago, that your leaders take a careful approach to how they oppose the government? The party, I think, it is a new era in this type of aggressive opposition this early in the game. You don't think it's a little too early to be this aggressive with the government?
The short and simple answer is absolutely not. And I'm going to go back to one of the old adages of a Westminster government. There's an old adage that goes, the government has its way, but the opposition has its say. And so in countries around the world that you see have a Westminster form of government, what you would see is that whether your opposition is extremely strong, extremely weak, whatever the government proposes, it's going to go through unless you have people defect from the party. And so in our system of government, it's important for the opposition to have its say. Now, we may have lost sort of resoundingly in terms of the number of seats, but when you look at the actual popular vote, the PLP was not far behind. And so what that tells us is that there's a huge swath of the electorate that still voted for the PLP. And I believe it's the obligation of the PLP to continue to represent these people. And so I think in any healthy democracy, you would see oppositions that are strong and that are forceful, not only keeping the government's feet to the fire in terms of what they promise, but what you have here is also that our parties are not ideologically aligned. And so there are certain beliefs and values and philosophies that come along with the PLP, things that the Bahamian people have fought for over the decades. And so you still have a significant number of Bahamians who believe in that core philosophy. And it's absolutely the job of the PLP to ensure that we fight for those people and to represent those people every single day on the front lines.
What about the aspect, though, of the opposition that was just removed from office? And I keep going back to that simply for this fact. This is not midway through the term where you can say, look, the government has had time, they've had an opportunity to, and they've failed in whatever ways you feel they have. You have people who are saying a lot of the criticism that your party is giving, you talk about travel, and these other things that you would have pointed to, that the government is on, how many travels they've been on and the expenses, and they have been critical for sure while they were in opposition about the myriads of travels that the PLP had and money spending on overseas trip. How can you accuse them of these things when your party was guilty of doing the same and worse?
See, what the difference is, when they were in opposition, they accused the PLP. And they made it seem like it was a conspiracy and it was a suspicion behind the travel and why they took these trips. The difference with us is we're now putting it to them that, hey, now that you're in government, do you see that there's a need for some of these trips, first and foremost? And when you're going on these trips, it's not necessarily important for you to take such a large delegation. So if now you see the need for the trips, and second, you, on top of taking the trips, you're taking a larger delegation than the previous government that you complained.
Where's the proof of that?
Well, I'll find the proof for you later. But it's been said many times by many persons in the ministries who deal with the travel that it's larger than it was before. Okay? And on top of that, you're not bringing us any results back. You're not bringing us any proper statements to say, this is what we expect to see.
Did the PLP do that?
Yes, Christie had press conferences every time he came back. And I'm not here to defend the PLP in the past. What I'm here to say is, you are now the government. You are now in charge. And you said you are working for the people, by the people. And so if that is your duty, if that is your promise, if that is your swear to the Bahamian people, then they should feel that it is being done. Your supporters are complaining as the government. So why are they complaining? Obviously, you're not giving them what you promised. You're going on these trips, you're coming back. We're not getting a detailed analysis of what actually transpired and what the Bahamas should expect. And that's the issue that most of us are having with the travel.
And so I just want to chime in, and I'm going to go to the core of your question. You're essentially asking, is it too soon to hold the government's feet to the fire?
That was the first question, but more importantly, the question was, there's some hypocrisy, it seems, in what the party is doing with this aggressive approach and some of the accusations. And I'm saying, how do you square with the Bahamian people that you've not just been guilty of the same thing?
And so again, my suggestion, or the tone I'm getting from the question, is that you're suggesting that there's a moratorium on the time in which it is to stand up for what is right. And so the PLP happens to be in opposition now, but when do we then stand up for what is right? And so one of the things that I personally believe in is something that Martin Luther King Jr. would have espoused, and it's the fierce urgency of now. So the point is, we are here in the now, and there's a fierce urgency to critique what is happening and to fight for what is right. And so my answer to that would be, the time is now. As you can see, the last year has gone by very quickly. We can't say that we are 5 years out from an election now. We are 4 years out. And so how long is the PLP supposed to wait until we start to bring these things to the forefront? Again, to be a healthy and a strong opposition, I say we need to do it now. There's an urgency in this moment, and so we can't wait 2 or 3 years from now to bring up issues that are happening now. No, we bring them to the forefront when they are happening.
And even if the previous administration was guilty of doing some of the same things, you have no problem in that position being...
Well, you don't have any proof that they're guilty of doing some of the same things. You are just suggesting that they are, and I could disagree with you.
It has been alleged by many in the country.
I could disagree with you
fine,
that it is.
And that's fine. The word on the street is that a lot of what the PLP is
You're probably the only one
attacking.
hearing that word, Vincent, because the word on the street that I'm hearing is these people are waiting for answers from this government. And until they get the answers, they want us to continue on the path that we are on as the opposition, giving them the necessary tools to go and continue to force this government to provide the necessary answers and the transparency.
For the record, lest you cause my faithful viewers to believe that I am siding with anyone here. For the record, the word on the street, I'm sure is heard by all, but I simply am representing an opposing view to that which you are pointing, to that you're hearing. You were making a point.
No, I was going along.
Okay. Yep. Now, let me just say, last of all, on this frame, we had interviewed, and as we do on our program, we have both sides of the political divide and other views as well. And so on our last program, 2 weeks ago, we had a former minister of government for the governing party now, making a point, and this is what he said. Wish we had the clip to play it for you, but he said the leader of your party has come out strong against the current government. Particularly in this instance, he was pointing to the leader's criticism of the indebtedness of the country and what the administration has done in its first year. And his comment was that under no circumstances a progressive liberal party led by a Philip Brave Davis should ever have the nerve to be able to come to the Bahamian people to complain about the indebtedness of the country after what the administration, which he was deputy prime minister of, the debt that they ran up. And so I just want your thoughts on that quickly before we move on to the next segment.
I mean, I think it's an absurd statement. He is the leader of the opposition, and so he's well within his right to question, critique, and to ask for answers on behalf of the people. Not only is he elected on behalf of his constituency, but he's elected on behalf of the party. And so he's right in sort of representing the views and the questions that Bahamians at large would have. And you only need to look into the newspaper today to see the magnitude of our debt. I think they're reporting that we're something at close to 8 billion indebtedness. And so the statistical analysis that the newspaper today would have given would have showed that in just 1 year, that increased, I think, by about 6 or 7%. And so essentially what they're saying is that what the PLP managed to do in 5 years was outpaced in 1 year. And so I think it's a fair question, not just as a PLP, but as a young Bahamian,
I think that's
it's a fair question to ask.
I think that's an unfair statement to the government, and the reason why I say I believe independently that it is that debt would not have been built up over the last year, and the government would argue that much of that borrowing that they did was paying off debts that your party left.
Well, you know, it was explained a number of times by the central bank, by statistical department, and by the previous administration that had it not been for storms such as Hurricane Joaquin, Hurricane Matthew, then a lot of the debt that we are seeing today, that we have incurred as the Bahamas in general, a lot of what we've incurred wouldn't have happened in the Bahamas. And so you can't put this debt argument and ignore the realities which the government themselves cannot control. We don't even know what's to come in the months that we are heading into, another scary hurricane season. So you cannot hold the government of the past responsible without bringing the realities forward as well.
You're watching Nation Building. I'm your host, Winston Pinnock, and we'll be right back after this break.
I've been a customer for the past 2 years, and I will say the quality of the service is very good. During my trip to Andros, I was connected the entire trip, so that was really good. I was able to contact my family members and let them know how the trip was going. We touched land, we're here, so it was very good, and I really appreciate that. And also during times like when we had the storm, it was really good to have that service to reach out to our loved ones to make sure everyone is okay. And I really appreciate Alive for that. And even when there's a little technical difficulty, they always send out a little text message to let us know exactly what's going on. I'm happy to be alive, and I believe in best.
Hello, I'm Wendell Jones, and every time I sit down and I watch JCN television, I drink the Jamaica Bahama fruit juice. It's so pleasing to the palate.
I've been cooking Bahamian dishes for generations. I now use Jamaica Bahamas product. The rice is very fluffy, very tasty, and good eating. Jamaica Bahama product is simply the best.
As an insurance agent, my life is go, go, go. But whenever I need a refreshing break, it's Jamaica Bahamas Island Mixed Fruit Drink. Good.
Hi, I'm Debbie Bartlett from GEMS 105.9 FM. The effect that Island Junkanoo Juice medley has on me is exhilarating.
Hello.
Did you get it?
Yes, baby. I got it.
Don't come home without it.
These arms of mine, they are yearning for wanting you.
Where is it?
Strongback is distributed by Jamaica Bahamas Import and is available at your favorite food or convenience store nationwide. For more information, call 341-4091 in Nassau and 351-8282 in Freeport.
Welcome back to Nation Building. I'm your host, Winston Pinnock, and I'm here today with two young Progressive Liberal Party members. One, of course, is a chairman of the Young Liberals, Mr. Griffin, and also Senator Joebeth Davis, who is now a regular on our program. I see that her party leader and the chairman has strong confidence in her.
Rightly so.
In representing the Progressive Liberal Party's view. And I think she does a decent job in doing so. Wanted to start off this segment, and I guess I'll pose this to the chairman of the Progressive Young Liberal. Do you believe that the PLP has accepted this point of view? That any attempt by the party to navigate around the people's express will last year, May, is likely to be a non-starter moving forward. And let me bring some clarity to that. Whatever you thought of the people's decision last year to remove your party from office, it was, one, their right to do so. And at the end of the day, I believe it's fair to say a sensible political organization would respond to, if it wants to be to lead the country and needs the vote of the people, to notwithstanding what personal feelings your leaders may have, would respond sensibly to what the people did and take some responsibility for losing. And I'm not sure, based on statements I've heard from your chairman on this show and others in the party, that, and I'm not certain if the Bahamian people gets clear, that your party understood the message that was sent to it. So that, I want you to respond to that.
Okay, so that's sort of a very loaded question, and
it was intended to be loaded.
I'm currently involved, you know, for the first time in the minutiae of the party, and what you just stated is not the sense that I'm getting. I feel as though PLPs across the country have come to the realization, obviously, that we've lost. We've spent a significant amount of time discussing amongst ourselves. The leader and the chairman and party members have taken tours of the islands as they continue to do so, talking to the people, listening, seeing what went wrong in the elections and how we can now better represent the people. And so I think the reality has set in that we've lost, and it's something that we're going to have to deal with. In terms of relitigating the entire election process, I don't think that's healthy for our party. And so at this point, we've realized we've lost. We've gathered the information from the public on why that has happened, but what's important now is being an effective opposition. And in order to do that, you must, you know, feel the spirit of the people and get their message and start to fight for the Bahamian people. And I believe that's the way the PLP will see power again, when we re-energize from our base, when we go back to our core, and we truly represent the Bahamian people.
Do you represent, as chairman of the Progressive Young Liberal, do you represent the views of the new generation of Bahamians?
I would like to think so, but I wouldn't just put that on my shoulders. I think there is a bevy of young people in our party who are rising up. One of the things that the new leader has done after being elected as leader, he took it as a mandate to involve young people at all levels of the party. And so what you see now is young people sit on every single committee and board inside the party. And so myself and people like me, we are now representing not just the new generation of PLPs, but the new generation of Bahamians, infusing new progressive ideas and philosophies within the party. And so our voice is now being heard in the party.
What about, it's good that you come on programs such as these, but I can't recall seeing, most of your press statements are done by your chairman and the party leader. Is there any effort to cause young persons like yourself to be able to be in the forefront in the media on doing things like you're doing today?
There's nothing that's stopping young people in our party from doing that, but I would just say, as a matter of protocol and as a matter of our constitution, the chairman is the person who does those press releases. The chairman is the leader of the organization, and so the chairman is the voice of the party in that respect. And so that's why you would see most press statements coming from the chairman of the party. But as you would know, every single cabinet minister and senator, they have portfolios, and so they're also the party's voices on those particular issues, and so you would note statements coming from them in relation to specific areas. In addition, as things arise, there might be the need to have other voices speak out. For example, today, I think the chairman was invited to this show today as well, but he would have preferred that young people represent. And so things like that are happening in the party. You would note that he's not here because, again, making room for the new sort of generation of PLPs to be a voice to the Bahamian people.
Some would say that we have seen this, card played before, where under the former leader, the party in 2012, the Bahamian people, 11 going into 12, the Bahamian people saw a wonderful, a masterful stroke from former Prime Minister Christie in putting out a cadre of young, bright minds in
Fresh breeze is
television.
blowing.
No, that was before
That
the
was
fresh
before
breeze.
that, yeah.
I mean, that was after the fresh
Yeah.
breeze. But in 2011-12, we saw a number of young, bright Bahamians. I don't want to start calling names and don't leave anybody out, but a healthy cadre of young Bahamians, male and female, who seemed to have been the face of the party, and he promised that would be the face of the party going forward. Disappointingly, though, for many Bahamians, those young people was not really, most of them were not placed in senior positions in the governing of the country. In fact, to the new Prime Minister's credit, Minis, he has done a better job, I believe it's fair to say, at putting more young, first-time faces of the younger generation in senior ministerial positions. And so I'm simply saying in that, are you afraid, are you concerned that your new leader may follow the step of the former leader in not really pushing aggressively and getting young people to help lead if the party becomes government?
Absolutely not, and for two reasons.
Why?
One, I've had conversations with the leader, I've had conversations with the deputy leader, the chairman, and everyone, like I said, is on the same page. Going back to your last question, has it set in what the Bahamian people said in the last election? And I think one of the things is that the PLP needs to produce new young candidates who are trained from the ground up in what it means to be a PLP and what it means to be a representative of the people. And so in that regard, I have faith that those who are now elected to lead the PLP, they truly believe that. And from what I can see inside the party, they are making way for young people to be involved. And my second reason why I said I can't speak to the young people who were previously involved, but right now in the PLP, this is a new crop of young people, a group in particular, the young liberals who I lead. We've said from the very beginning at our term is that one, we don't expect things to be given to us, but two, we're also here to demand a seat at the table. And so where there might be the inclination so where there might be an inclination not to allow us in certain tables or in certain decision-making processes, I think the onus is now on us to say, hey, we're here and we want to be heard. And so for those two reasons, I feel as though you're going to see a new crop of young PLPs surface, people who are perhaps a bit louder in their demand to have a seat. Because again, the survival of our party depends on it. We need to have the infusion of new progressive people, new progressive ideas.
I'm not sure from the history I studied that demanding a place at the table is going to work, but good luck in your efforts.
Listen, the history of the PLP is demanding a place at the table. People seem to forget that it was a 29-year-old Sir Lyndon Pindling who came back from law school and essentially took over the PLP. So Lyndon and his group, they didn't start the PLP. The PLP had existed for a few years before they came. They came and they took power and they brought it in that progressive sort of direction. So that is the history of our party.
You have provoked me. I want to move on here, but I've got to throw this one at you.
Yes.
You've provoked me to ask a question. You and your young liberals and the younger generation that's in the Progressive Liberal Party today, how do you, I don't see you outnumbering I don't know how many stalwart councillors you have now, but I'm told it's a huge amount. So in terms of, you need votes, no matter how aggressive you are. You need numbers to be able to unseat people that may be senior people in the party in order to get this fresh young mind. And I don't know, how do you, what confidence do you have that you will be able to have the numbers to overcome I'm speaking to you directly, you represent the younger people, and you're speaking up for them. So how do you feel about, naturally you will clash at some point in terms of ideology, or maybe just the way things are being done and what the younger people may want to see happen, maybe the speed in which you want it to happen. How confident are you that you have the numbers at the end of the day too?
To answer your question, I'll tell you a story. Back in, I think it was September or October, I visited Andros. I was in South Andros, and we were going door to door. Again, like I told you, we have these listening tours where we go and speak to people. So we were going door to door, and I knocked on the door of a home. An older gentleman came to the window. Took a while, then opened the door. What he said to me, we identified as PLP, and what he said to me was, if this were a bunch of older persons at my door, I wouldn't have opened. But because I saw a young face, I opened. He's a stalwart counselor. And so what I'm saying is that even the view within the stalwart council is that we must make room for young people. And so it's not going to be a battle of the generations in the sense that you're making it out to be, because guess what? Stalwart counselors, they have an interest in the longevity of the party, and they know that in order for the party to move forward and the country to move forward, you need to invite a new generation to the decision-making table. And so while there will be challenges and there will be things where the generations may not disagree, I feel as though the Stalwart Council is going to open with great big arms, young people coming into the party and sort of taking over key leadership spots.
Okay, we're going to keep the questions away from Barry. Senator Joebeth Davis, the government, the Free National Movement government, have been saying and will say that they are busy working on behalf of the Bahamian people on any number of fronts, tackling crime. In fact, the one area that the Minister administration bragged about and got some points, I might add, early in its term, was the issue of tackling corruption, to the point where several former government ministers were charged before the court. And the sentiments that seems to be clear to all I talk to in the journalism world, and I'm sure you all got this sentiment, or some of it too, was that people felt that it was necessary and gave credit to the government for taking. Now, we don't get inside the details of whether people are innocent or guilty. That's for the courts. But the fact that they were brave enough, for the first time a government took on the issue, and to the point where former ministers were arrested and charged, that certainly seemed to have sit well with a significant amount of the Bahamian people. And so on that issue, what do you say? Do you give the government any credit at all for tackling the issue of corruption?
I don't know if I would consider that process tackling the issue of corruption. If you look at the intricacies of the cases, which we won't go into detail with, but I don't know if I would consider that tackling the issues of corruption. I would almost say that it was kind of a response to one of their rally chants that became very popular, "They going to jail." And so it was almost as if we're satisfying our base that have enjoyed this chant during the rally, and by performing in this way, it's a satisfaction. And that is if you are attributing that the government had some play in the arrest, which, you know, in terms of policy, it should be separate. It should be that there was a complaint to the police, and then there was some investigation, and then the police were the only ones that had dealings in who would have been arrested. And the government shouldn't have had a hand in that. So if we're saying that in some form or the other, the government had some kind of hand in these ministers being arrested, then I wouldn't attribute that to them tackling corruption.
But
because
they would...
in how you tackle corruption would not be you're actually targeting someone without properly putting together your case.
Well, they would argue that the police did their job, and they, as a government, they set an agenda, and so they wouldn't be telling, go lock up this one, go lock up Joebeth Colby. They would just be saying, look, the commissioner needs to focus, and the Minister of National Security would drive a focus on pursuing all corruption, and that was just caught up, I guess, in the whole scheme of their effort. And so to the extent that they were pursuing it and people got arrested, the country felt that they were at least doing something to clean up this issue in our country.
Well, that's if it was an issue to be cleaned up.
Well, the government would argue that it was, but we'll move on. The crime has fell, recent reports, for the first quarter of 2018 by 14% overall. You must give credit to the new administration for tackling the issue of crime.
I'm always careful to tie governments on to crime. I'm always careful, and I always say to anyone, whether it be someone within my party, someone within the FNM, someone within the DNA, or someone that's independent, to not brag too much about you being the reason why crime is high or low. Because crime is a social issue. Crime is usually the basis of an economy that's on the downturn, right? So where there's struggle, there becomes some reaction to the struggle. So if I'm losing my job, then you may see people are now robbing. You see what I'm saying? And then it leads to...
Many would disagree with you. While it plays a role,
It
I
plays
don't
a
know that
major role, and so I don't
it
think
is.
governments should jump up and accept unless you are putting in policies and legislation in place. You're putting in programs that are actually forcing a curve in the crime agenda.
And I'm sure the Minister administration would say that they are. You're watching Nation Building. As you could see, I could hardly get to a break. We'll be right back right after this break.
The concierge service is the best thing ever. Like, it is so fabulous, especially for someone like me where I cannot leave my office, my job to go do anything in the middle of the day because I'm on the radio. The service was so fabulous. The ladies gave me a call. They set up an appointment. They come with their professional looking attire. They're just so cute. And they come here, and it was a great experience. It took 20 minutes to switch over to the Alive service. It was simple. It was easy. And they just made me feel so welcomed. They explained everything. They hooked me up with my new phone. They gave me my data package. As you can see, hey. And it was fabulous. It was a wonderful service, but what I really liked best about it was not only did they come here and make it easy for me, but they continued to check up on me. The next day, they made sure that everything was working properly with the phone. I didn't have any issues. The following week, they contacted me again, and I've built a relationship with them. They've continued to check up on me. I feel like I'm part of the Alive family. It's amazing.
Hello?
Did you get it?
Yes, baby. I got it.
Don't come home without it.
These arms of mine, they are yearning for wanting you.
Where is it?
Strongback is distributed by Jamaica Bahamas Import and is available at your favorite food or convenience store nationwide. For more information, call 341-4091 in Nassau and 351-8282 in
Who said you can't get great quality products at an affordable price? If you want the best quality food products at the most affordable prices, you must pick up the Jamaica Bahama brand of fine quality products at your favorite food store. Products like Jamaica Bahama Coconut Water, the most healthy and refreshing drink on the market. Jamaica Bahama Fruit Punch, the only fruit punch in the Bahamas made from real fruit. Jamaica Bahama Coconut Milk, green pigeon peas with coconut milk, condensed milk, kidney beans with coconut milk, corned beef, green pigeon peas, mackerel, and corn. Jamaica Bahamas' fine line of products is available at all your favorite food stores and convenience stores nationwide. Telephone 351-8282 in Freeport and 341-4091 in Nassau.
I don't wanna win. No, no. I don't wanna win.
Welcome back to Nation Building. I'm your host, Winston Pinnock, and I'm here today with two of the Progressive Liberal Party's dynamic young people. I'm being told by the chairman of the party that these people represent the best of what the PLP has to offer as far as the younger generation, so you can judge.
We have a lot of best to give to the Bahamas.
We want to quickly go through these questions because time is running out on us, so let me just shoot at you quickly. And this one will, first of all, we'll talk to the senior person here, Senator Joebeth Davis. The government of the Bahamas, the new administration, has been aggressively pursuing investment for the country. And recently, a project that was rolled out, not without controversy, but nonetheless, an effort of the government, OBAN, in Grand Bahama to help do something that the Progressive Liberal Party absolutely failed to do in its 5 years in office, which is to rejuvenate Grand Bahama's economy. And the PLP has made a lot of noise about the project. In simple, what is the biggest issue that the party has with that project?
I don't know if I could say it in simple, and I know you want short answers, but I'll try to just wrap up the basis of most of our concerns. Not only the party, it's the Bahamian electorate. You have the issue with who's signing, the person's character, and a prime minister that is so focused on taking out corruption, doing away with any corruption, but the type of person that we're doing business with, entering into a contract of this magnitude, a project this size to do business with, that's one of the major concerns, because the character behind the person, and then when the character was exposed, the website went blank. Things were removed. So that's almost like, how can we trust you now? Why are you removing things if you are of good character, if you're good nature, and if you're bringing something great to the Bahamian public with nothing to hide? Why are you now removing things off of the website? Then it's the thing with the EIA. Then it's the amount of money that is borrowing. Then it's the HOA, who signed it, whether it's this person, whether it's that person, it's the principal. Then it's the principal giving all of the information to the Bahamian people, as opposed to the government who's entering into a contract on our behalf, providing us the information. They should have had a press statement. They should have had a press release to say 690 acres, how much it's being leased for. So it's all of these questions. If you are the type of government that are accountable, transparent, and bringing the necessary change to the betterment of the Bahamian people, we would have expected this type of project to be rolled out in a more professional and caring manner.
And I'm sure the government would argue that the PLP with Bahama and other things was not all forthcoming. But
Bahama is a blessing to the Bahamas and the Bahamian people.
But I just wanted to very quickly sum up sort of what she said, and as she was speaking, one of my favorite quotes by Barack Obama came to my mind, and it's that if the people cannot trust the government to do the job for which it exists, which is to protect and promote the common welfare of the people, then all else is lost. And the barrage of issues that she's identified with the Oban controversy, I think that's just it. The Bahamian people are now beginning to sort of lack confidence in the government that they are truly promoting and protecting their best interests. And so to sum it up, I think that's the issue with the Oban.
There are several other things quickly that the government has done in Grand Bahama, which is, well, first of all, on a national scale, the government has taken credit, of course, for removing the country, having the removal from the blacklisting.
Did they take credit for getting it on the blacklist?
It's also, moving right along, it's also provided an additional vessel in Grand Bahama to bring in tourists, working with the existing company that's there now, so that you have a boat in Grand Bahama daily, bringing in tourists, which is a lifesaver for the economy of Grand Bahama. A deal, the government says, will be forthcoming shortly on our Lukaya, the property there that through the hurricane got damaged. And so the government says it's working. A national neighborhood watch program to help reduce crime. And in summary, there are any number of issues like those. So what do you say about any number of those things that the government is doing?
I think we have to be reminded that government is continuous. And so a lot of what you would have called off would have already been in play. The thing that I love, what I'm hearing, is that nothing has been stopped or canceled to be reviewed, because that is our greatest issue in the Bahamas. When we have a change in government, we stop things because I didn't bring it to the table, because it wasn't my plan. If it is for the good of Grand Bahama, and I was born there, so anything that they take there to make that country strive, to help that economy continue to grow, to provide jobs and investment for the people, if it is good, I am not going to attack it. I'm not going to bash it, because what I am here to do is ensure that the Bahamian people lives are changed. We're on a show talking about nation building. And so if something is helping to build the nation, it is not my issue which government brings it. The fact that it's happening and it's for the betterment of the lives of the Bahamian people, not anybody, but Bahamian people.
And the people are going to be listening out to see if you are overly critical on good projects. So
no. Good projects that are done in decency, order, and with transparency will have no issue from Senator Davis.
Here's a project that seems to be a good project, Mr. Griffin. You're leader of the Young Liberals as chairman. Government presented a white paper talking about a major campaign promise to transform Over the Hill community with this Over the Hill Rejuvenation Initiative. And so in simple, do you believe it's a good project? Do you support the project?
Here's my thing, and I've recently gotten the white paper, so I'm now in the process of reading it, so I haven't finished reading the white paper.